Another wonderful evening for us. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. If you missed my Radio Pop show, I'm going to give you a quick recap. So today we were talking about animal sacrifices and whether there really is still a place for, not really whether there is a place, but what is their place in modern day Africa? Because remember, we are trying to really build a modern city, a modern Africa, a visionary Africa. And some of really the points that I've spoken to is the fact that society's evolved, and the challenge is that with us there was an interruption with colonization. So we were proceeding with our culture and traditions, and then there was colonization, and then it blocked everything, and then now the world is modern, we are here, and we can't just jump to here. We have to start from where we were and build slowly forward. But my main concern is that we do not have really the luxury of time to, we can never buy the time that was lost. So what we have left is our minds. We have to put our minds together and think that how do we transcend, i.e. we have to put ourselves in the shoes of, in our own shoes, in our ancestors' shoes, and say, had there not been colonization, how far would our culture had evolved? Because all nations, they started with animal sacrifice. It's not unique to Africa, but because they allowed themselves to evolve, they in time they found different ways to celebrate their ancestors, and there are Africans that will tell you that if I slaughter, I really feel that there's an improvement in my life. I see a lot of things in my life getting better. Then there are people who tell you that yes, they become better, but at the end of the day, you pay for that blood. So we need to find ways to mobilize ourselves culturally as a nation. And the unfortunate thing is that all these different families, we are so like diverse as a people. Different families practice differently, different cultures practice differently. We need an exercise where we all sit and we say, how do we take the best out of each? And by best, I mean what is progressive, what takes us forward without robbing ourselves of ourselves, and how do we let go of what does not serve us anymore? How practical is this practice? And because really we can't keep doing things the same way and expecting different results. So what triggered this conversation for me really was that there was a scene at the Clifton Beach in Cape Town, where a group of protesters went and took a sheep there in order to cleanse the beach of what they said were the sins of racism against Africans in South Africa. So I'd like us to go into that clip quickly, and then we can proceed with our conversation.
Clifton's Fourth Beach is a hive of unusual activity tonight. A group of demonstrators belonging to lobby group Black People's National Crisis Committee have brought a sheep to the beach to be slaughtered. The group had vowed to stage a picket on Clifton's Fourth Beach amid a recent controversy at the beach on Sunday. Security guards linked to a private company allegedly told a group of picnickers to leave the beach because it closed at 8 at night. The company Professional Protection Alternatives has denied that it closed the beach and ordered anyone to get off. It insists that closure was done by the city's law enforcement officials. It was just warning people, and it was all about alleged criminality on the beach. Manalisi Dubase is on Clifton's Fourth Beach. Manalisi, the sheep has been killed.
Francis, the sheep has been slaughtered already right at the beach here at Clifton Fourth Beach. The purpose really, they say, is to cleanse this beach for all the reasons that you have just mentioned, that when a group of some black and colored people came here at this past weekend, they were chased away by security guards, and the group of several NGOs and other organizations such as the PAC, the EFF, and the ANC police came here with this sheep. Generally, the procedures went on peacefully. The police were looking on, except for few scuffles when one lady who came, I don't know whether she was trying to intervene that they don't slaughter the beach, the sheep on the beach, or what was she trying to do. But she's right next to me because there was a little bit of...
Yes, so that was live on the most poshest, expensive square kilometer in South Africa after Sandton, I think, if not more expensive than Sandton, actually. But the nice thing about this video, guys, is that they were both Africans and coloreds, and I think even some white people, because they believed that they don't like the racism that is taking place in those places. Unfortunately, this video is not about the rights and wrongs of land and whether the beach is a public or a private beach. I'm not there at the moment. What I wanted to talk about is the practice. And so there's always been animal rights groups who have really been criticizing this practice. In fact, in my community where I live, there was a day when I saw on the group my neighbor who complained that her other neighbor was literally slaughtering a sheep, and they wanted to know which number to call, to help the animals. And somebody responded and said, but it's their right. We had the same situation on the other side, and they called the police and they were told that it's a private matter and people are allowed to exercise their religion and tradition in this country. So from a constitutional point of view, we are covered. It's not about that. What I think we need to discuss as a nation is really, do we think that ancestors transform and can be transformed? Because if you look about it the way I think of it, I don't think that our children, when they celebrate us as their ancestors, they are going to be obliged and even compelled to celebrate us the way that we celebrated our great-grandparents. For example, if you think of the olden ways where our great grandparents used to worship and to not worship but celebrate their ancestors, they would use tobacco, like real tobacco, and real traditional beer, because that was what there at the time. But if you look at the most recent ancestors, you can use beer like Castle Lager, you can use gin, whiskey, liquor, spirits, and you can even use tobacco like the cigarette that it's like Cotley, Camel Lights, or whatever, because there's an understanding that the recent ancestors had evolved. They understood that we are no longer in those times. We are now in the times where we're now drinking gin and vodka, so maybe our children will want to put cocktails when they celebrate us. But what I'm saying is that even as ancestors, if we want our children to be comfortable with transcending from slaughter to another way, we have to start now. We have to be the parents who teach them now that when we die, this is how we want to be celebrated. And we have to take a decision as a nation to say that, is it necessary? What are alternative and transcendental ways, to get us the same results? Because I find that really we limit ourselves, but it's not because we can't think. It's because really we were interrupted, and every time we're trying to think forward, but we realize we still have to go backwards. We still have to fix behind. So we need to find a way, guys, to as a nation, to really mobilize ourselves, and culturally and traditionally, and think especially around the issue of animal sacrifice in the context of food shortage, in the context of land shortage, in the context of population growth. How practical is this practice going to be? And of course also the issue of, we need to be a nation of the light, and these practices, what is the psychological impact of these practices on our children or on ourselves? Because some of these rituals that we do, they're done in the night, they're done in the river, they're done in the sea. What does it do to you as a person when you engage in the spirit in that manner? Is there no better way that we can engage our ancestors and our God in the spirit and get the same, even better results, maybe? So that's the thought I'd like to leave you with today, and I really, really wish that I can see a lot more engagement on that. Thank you so much. Good night and love you.